This podcast is for anyone who wants to understand the Bible. The image that you see is my actual book cover if you want more detailed explanations. It's available on Amazon, but I am going to be scratching the surface on this podcast. This podcast isn't for 5-year-old nor 50-year-old children. You will have to overcome your fear of going to hell for believing the Bible over your particular church's doctrine. Consider that for all of the conflicting church doctrines, one and only one could possibly be correct. But each and every one of them could be absolutely wrong. There is no gray area. And I guarantee that your congregation is one of the wrong ones. That is an intentional gut punch. Will you fight, flee, or do the mature thing and consider those statements? After all, the Bible does encourage correction. The fact is that you're a slave to an organization that has the world's best sales pitch. Come here, go to heaven. Don't come here, go to hell. That's simply packaging pride and fear, capitalizing, literally making billions off your ignorance. You are paying someone to enslave you. Proof? The Bible itself. My credentials? All of the plaques, certificates, seminary degrees, etc. of all of the head pastors, assistant pastors, ministers, etc., whose mouths I've shut. I'll tell you the truth, and you decide whether you should fight, flee, or consider. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." Verse 27, "So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them." Verse 28, "And God blessed them. And God said to them, Be fruitful and multiply, replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth." And then it continues. When people read this, the assumption is that God did what he said he would do in verse 26, creating man in his image according to his likeness. But if you read verse 27 closely, you'll see that God created man in his image. In the image of God, he created him. The image of God is stated twice. The likeness of God is not mentioned until you get to Genesis chapter 5, verse 1. Reads, "This is the book of the generations of Adam. And the day that God created man, in the likeness of God, he made him." Verse 2, "Male and female, he created them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam, in the day when they were created." Verse 3, "And Adam lived 130 years, and begat a son in his own likeness, after his image, and called his name Seth." Now this is recalling Adam and his creation, who was formed from the dust of the earth in Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. But what's important to catch here is that the image and the likeness of God are not the same things. As you can read in Genesis chapter 1, verse 28, the image of God carries authority. It also comes with the command to be fruitful and multiply. This is reiterated in Genesis chapter 9 when Noah and his family come off the ark. They are also given the command to be fruitful and multiply. They're given authority over the earth. They're also given authority to punish anyone who kills another man. The reason being is stated in verse 6 of chapter 9 of the book of Genesis. For in the image of God made he man. So again, the image of God carries authority. The likeness of God is not so clear, but there is some help in the Bible that gives some aid in understanding what the likeness of God is. That's in Genesis chapter 5, verse 3. And Adam lived 130 years and begat a son in his own likeness after his image and called his name Seth. This took me a while to understand what I was looking at. I did see the reversal from the image and the likeness in Genesis chapter 1 to the likeness and the image of Adam in Genesis chapter 5. Now, it's easy to put together that the image of Adam and the image of God carries authority. But again, the likeness of Adam or of God is not so clear. I did get some help with this from my family and the Spirit of God. Spiritually inspired me to see and make the connection between what was being said here and my own children. My children resemble myself and their mother, as all children resemble their parents. They share our physical characteristics, our emotional, our perspectives, our intellectual. All those things are shared or passed on to our children. They are our likeness. They're similar to us. And that's what that blessing is that Adam received from God. He received that individuality as the man of God. Also that sovereignty, that independence. Adam was his own man, his own authority. Adam was created outside of the 6 days of creation and the Sabbath, the seventh day, the Sabbath. So he did not fall under the authority of the man who was created in the image of God. He was an independent being. Adam was not given the command to be fruitful and multiply, which, as far as I know, every church assumes is a command to have children and have lots of them. But if you read in Genesis chapter 1, after the man is given that command, he does not have children. Adam and Eve, who were not given that command, had 2 children after they were expelled from the Garden of Eden. And then Noah, after coming off of the ark with his family, in Genesis chapter 9, was given the command. And again, he had a family already. So that should be understood not to be a command to have children and have lots of them. Noah already had a family. And again, the man created in Genesis chapter 1 did not have children. Until you get to Genesis chapter 6, which they got in trouble for. The command to be fruitful and multiply is actually explained in the book of Colossians in the New Testament. First chapter, verse 10. There's a build up to this, but in verse 10 it reads that you might walk worthy of the Lord unto all pleasing, being fruitful in every good work, and increasing or multiplying in the knowledge of God. That is actually what the command to be fruitful and multiply is intended for Bible readers to understand. God did not create man simply to have children who are acting crazy, going wild. God intended for man to be fruitful in every good work and to multiply in the knowledge of God. We start off ignorant, and as we grow, we age, we mature, that should be our work, is to be fruitful and to multiply in the knowledge of God. Why is this information important to know? For one thing, it tells you who the kings of the earth are. Now, there are human kings, but oftentimes, for one instance is in the second Psalm, the kings of the earth are mentioned. These are not human men. These are the angelic beings who are given authority in Genesis chapter 1 over the earth. Being able to see that distinction between these men and Adam reveals a number of things. One, it separates the two, opening chapters of the Bible and allows the inquisitive reader to discover what Genesis chapter 1 is besides being the creation of existence. Seeing that is very helpful. It also reveals a number of offices, the origin of two particular offices, the origin of the office of king and priest that come up in the nation of Israel. Also answers the question of when the angels were created. Yes, I am saying that the angels are the men, the authorities, who were created in Genesis chapter 1, verse 27. They were created in the Bible. So with that, I'm going to end this podcast and continue with more the next time.